All right, so why don't we get started? I know people continue to join, but I put the agenda in the chat and I just want to welcome everybody this morning. I'm glad you're all here. It's good to see you. We have a um I would say semi-packed, but not too packed agenda. If you have things that you'd like to talk about, just throw them in the chat and we can add that to the agenda. We'll certainly do at the end any updates to share as well. But I'd like to start with Jen, and she is going to be talking about some waiver and state updates.
Thanks, Dawn. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? I'm at our Kingsley location in a room, not in my normal office, so I never know if things are going to work right. So anyway, good morning. I don't have a ton for you all today unless there's questions, but the one thing that Karen asked me to cover today, since she wouldn't be here, is to make sure everyone's very aware about the coming deadline with EVV and claims. So thus far, we've needed to do it for EVV applicable services, but it has not stopped billing starting in October. Claims will not go through and be paid if it's supposed to have an EVV match and doesn't. So for those of you providing residential services that are not in a shared setting, anything that's not a daily rate, anything HPC, respite, no, respite's daily, sorry. The 15-minute unit respite will need it though. Any of those services, you will need to make sure that you have your EVV up and running. And if you don't, your claims are not going to be paid. So I'm guessing that probably I'm looking around, I see mostly our agency providers, our bigger ones are probably aware. I'm a little more worried about our smallers and our independents. So I know Karen and her team have been reaching out a lot. But if you could help us spread the word, I think that'd be great. We are quite worried about that because we don't want people to not get their services. And obviously if providers can't get paid, they're not going to be able to continue. So not a lot of time left. This has been many years in the making, and I do not anticipate it being pushed again. It sounds like it's going to be a go. So again, EVV, if you do not have it and need it, please, get with your biller, your billing company, whatever you need to do to get that in place before that October deadline. Looking at my provider partners quality team. Anything else on that, Angie, or any of your group? I know it's something we're all kind of worried about with that deadline looming. The other major thing I had to just mention today, I don't see anything in the chat, so I'll just go on. I did want to let providers know, if you're a provider that's providing non-medical transportation at the new CIE rate, and that's people that are going to competitive employment in the community, there's that new rate that's available for people. It went into effect and then you couldn't bill, which was, really great. That did just get resolved recently in the last couple of weeks. So if you are a provider that's providing that service, the state did notify us a couple of weeks ago, that's finally resolved. So if you've been holding those claims, you can go ahead and get those put through. Other than that, I'm going to knock on wood that it's been a little bit quiet on the waiver front. There are some changes coming in July, nothing super significant. There was supposed to be a huge change coming with our best service, which was going to kind of end the vocab service and stand up best, but that has been delayed indefinitely. I'm hoping to hear more about if there's any plan to bring it back in April. So next time we get together, I can share any updates I do here. But as of now, that's off the table. So anyone that was worried about that for July, which we were, it's going to be a pretty big change, a little reprieve, if you will. So that's what I have. Unless Dawn or Angie, you had something else. Those were the things I know Karen mentioned that she wanted me to cover. Did I miss anything, Ange?
I just had one thing also that Karen asked me to cover. It's the new PNM system. So you probably saw this in the Monday memo, but they're going to require a two-factor authentication process, but you have to actually go out and set that up, and you need to do that before May 4th. So if you, the Monday memo has a link with a guide that actually has that out there. So don't forget to do that before May 4th. That was one of the state things that I had.
And I did just want to say thank you to all of our license providers that came to our Kingsley location in March for the session that Chase, I see Chase is on here, and Jennifer Mitchell-Gum put together. We had a licensed provider fair for those who have licensed homes. Really, really went great. So thank you to our providers. Thank you to Chase and Jennifer. It was a really wonderful session. We had a great educational session for our staff, a panel discussion with our providers, and then we had kind of a provider fair where our SSAs could go around and speak, one-on-one with our providers. And then we brought in individuals and families. And Chase, remind me, we have like around 30 or more people show up in the open for the public, which was really great. It's hard to get folks to come out for that. Did I get the number right, Chase? I was looking for you.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think it was
okay.
around 30. Yep, you're right.
Okay, awesome. So I don't know if providers had any comments. I hope it was, we did this, as trying to respond to our provider community that has struggled to fill some of their vacant homes, spots in their homes. So I hope it was useful and I hope that you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed seeing and talking to all of you. I know many of our staff did. We got really positive feedback. So thank you for that. And just a shout out, we will be having just a general provider fair this July that our staff is organizing, and we'll be working with our provider group here and get word out and invites out for that as well. So another opportunity for providers other than our licensed homes, although our licensed providers will be free to come to that as well. But that'll be in July. So we're looking forward to that as well. So
And that's for SSAs and for families, right, Jen?
yeah, it'll be open to the public as well. Yeah, we'll have, I don't know the details on how they're laying it out. My guess is we'll do it similarly, although we are picking a bigger location. I know space was a little tight when we had everybody here, but we do appreciate everybody's help getting that to pull that off.
Yeah. Well, thanks for organizing that. I think that's great.
I cannot take any of the credit. That was all Chase and Jennifer. They did a great job.
Yep.
And thanks,
All
everybody.
right. Anything else before we move on to local updates? Okay. So I wanted to mention, and then Cindy and Jamie, feel free to chime in. We are hosting a mid-level managers session or series. We did that, as you recall, last year, and we brought somebody in. I'm forgetting his name, but he was a wonderful consultant and did some work. And then based on feedback we got from there, oh, thanks, Angie. We crafted another series targeted at mid-level managers. Cindy, you want to chime in, or Jamie, anything you want to say about this?
I mean, you were doing great. Yeah, it's just basically the next areas that we kind of we wanted to expand on the first training session that our series that happened. Again, it's just targeting the mid-level management folks, and this one is really gearing towards them, of giving them more tools in their toolbox in regards to providing clear communication to their staff, and kind of some of those HR policies where sometimes folks, if that's not something that they're familiar with, because a lot of our mid-level management were DSPs that got promoted. So it's really trying to figure out how to help walk them through the process, with providing support at the same time, giving them that those legal tools of what they can say, what they can't say. So it's working through that piece of it. So the first session is going to be led by one of our partners, OVRS, having Jamie and then his HR person there. The second one is going to be led by Walk of Joy, so Wendell and his team. And those of you who know Wendell, he's just a fantastic speaker, just very passionate, and just really knows what he's doing and knows how to motivate folks. And he's going to really kind of provide some different techniques of bringing out those best communication strategies. And then the third one that I'm really excited about as well is Rhonda Craig. So we're going to, at that point, have someone from the county step in. And she's going to be talking about information in the ISPs, identifying things, and kind of working through that process of the steps in regards to ISP meetings, and how to kind of bring the best foot forward for the folks that we serve. So really excited to be able to do this. And I think one of the things that meant the most to where Jamie, Don, Karen, and I were talking about this was, we have a lot of fantastic people in Hamilton County. And so we really felt like with this next series, we could tap people in our own county to bring these trainings to life. So the link is on the flyer. I know that they've already sent it out. I don't know if you could put that in the chat, Angie, too, possibly. You can just register there, and it's $25 per person. Obviously, if there's opportunities for scholarships as well, if you feel like your agency can't afford it, but we're really excited about it. And it's 2 hours, each session's 2 hours. So we're not trying to take the whole day, but we're excited to have that impact with that group. So did I miss anything?
No, that was perfect. Thanks, Cindy. And I do think one important detail is when you register, you want to register for all three sessions. So you want to free up your managers to go to all three. We noticed that tends to be more valuable. You create a cohort effect and the conversations deepen with each session. So we're encouraging you to do that as well. So yeah. All right. The next on the agenda, we're having a network. So a provider network session at MadTree, and that's on May 8th from 6 to 8. And I think Angie's going to pop that in the, maybe we don't have a flyer yet. I just put, save that date. Our hope is that we just have an opportunity to, yeah, here we go. To network with one another. You know, we have very little informal time together. And, you know, we love having these meetings with you, but this is just an opportunity to get to know one another and share ideas in really natural settings. So we're just going to try that and see if it's something that that you all find useful, and we'll certainly be there as well. So we look forward to that. No RSVP required, so it's just super casual.
Hey, Dawn, just real quick,
Yes,
did you realize that's the date of OACB?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to,
Belatedly, yeah. But
yeah,
we'll be fine.
okay.
We'll have it. It's mostly, you know, it's mostly a couple of us and mostly just for providers. So
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. I know, I wanted to be there, but
I know.
can't be two
I know.
places at one time.
I know. By location, you haven't mastered that yet. Okay. And then lastly, we're doing a memorial celebration. As you recall, last year we had a couple of providers come to us and say that it would be really important if we created a space to remember those that we've lost. And we're going to be doing that annually. We haven't set the date yet, but usually it's in June. So we'll do something. And if you have any interest in partnering with Amber, who is leading the charge, our advocacy coordinator, please reach out to her. Amber, I don't know if you could pop your email in the chat. It's always richer when we have our partners collaborate with us with this. So
We'll do.
I do believe we're going to be doing it at the same park because that was just a lovely location, and even with the rain. So imagine it without the rain.
I don't know. I just emailed you about this, Don. We're going to be at the same location, but a different shelter. And we're hoping with, I think last year we may have been May. We're hoping in June the weather will be better. So be on the lookout soon for the date, the time, and the location of all that.
Great. Thanks, Amber, for coordinating that. I
It
appreciate
may
it.
have rained last year, but it produced beautiful rainbows later in the day, I will just say.
And really, I mean, it was an opportunity for staff and for people we serve to all remember people and the stories that were told. It was really quite moving, and you know, creating that space is hard to do, but we all need time to grieve together, and it was really lovely. I wanted to just put this other reminder in the chat, just for, you know, for any providers, day providers or residential providers, we offer so many things each month, so many outing opportunities, and they're both virtual and in-person outings. So, and they're organized by advocate-led groups, partner and provider events, and DD events. So check those out if you're looking for things, new ideas of ways to connect people that you serve with other folks. They're really, really good. Some are more inclusive, some are, you know, strictly advocates getting together. So just keep that in mind. And I think that's all I had on updates. So now I'm going to toss it over to Jenny for MUI updates.
Sorry, I was trying to dump a bunch of stuff in the chat so I didn't have to do it while I was talking. So I just put some links in the chat there. We're kind of going to go through this. Let me share my screen so you can look at my PowerPoint instead of me. Hopefully this works. Okay. And you can see that, right? Maybe. Okay. You see my notes too? Okay.
Yes.
Let me, I don't know if I can do it at this point. Okay. Can you see just the PowerPoint now? Okay, perfect. So I have lots of things to talk about today, so bear with me. Obviously, new revisions, the new revisions to the MUI rule are available now for your review. The revisions are set to go into effect on July 1st of this year. There are a number of revisions to the rule that I think are going to require some thought for how we're going to make sure that we are consistent with our reporting and how we're getting information, and also how we're doing investigations. So I know that's something that we plan to discuss with other counties. And I welcome your feedback as well, particularly for providers. I think one of the biggest changes is going to be around unanticipated hospitalizations, and just the amount of responsibility that's going to be placed on providers to track that. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that rule yet, I did drop a link in the chat. Take a look at that, and we can talk more about that in the future. There's going to be lots of opportunities for trainings in the future, and we Hamilton County are tentatively scheduled to host DODD MUI on June 10th at Kingsley. And that is, again, tentatively scheduled from 12 to 4. So that will be in person, have the opportunity to hear firsthand from them kind of what's going on. Obviously, June 10th, gets us closer, obviously, to the July 1st. But so we'll be doing some things before then. But just kind of, as you're thinking about things, or if you come up with a great form for how you're going to track, hospitalizations in particular, feel free to reach out. I'd love to kind of collaborate on that so that we can be consistent. The next thing that I'm kind of skipping around a little bit on the agenda, but wanted to talk a little bit about collaboration on complex situations, right? So MUI, right? Blah, everybody MUI, nobody wants to hear MUI. I guess, and for those of you that I've worked closely with, I hope you know this and can maybe support this, but I just want to remind everyone that we really, truly, MUI is here to support you. We're not here to get you. It's not a gotcha system. I know I keep saying that. It really is not. And so I just want to reiterate our stance that health and safety is always going to trump rights. And I promise you, it might result in an MUI. It's probably going to result in an MUI. That's okay. If it's truly being done in the best interest of the individual to keep them safe, to keep other people safe, we'll back you 100%. I assure you. So again, I just want to make sure that people feel empowered. I don't want to, a situation where we don't lock up knives, right? Because it's a rights violation, but somebody's threatening to harm themselves or others. Lock them up, do an MUI, send it in. It's okay. We will work through that. So again, I just want to make sure that you feel supported and you feel empowered, and empower your staff to make those decisions if they're not feeling safe. We're going to talk about Smart 911 and some of the work that we're doing with Hamilton County. But, the other piece of that is that we are really trying to work closely with our police entities to make sure that they have the most appropriate or, up-to-date information about the individuals that we're serving so that they can respond appropriately and support you as well. So again, just kind of wanted to put that out there. Feel free to reach out anytime if you have a specific case, if you want to brainstorm on something, or I don't know, quite frankly, if you just need to vent, right? I'm here to support you any way that we can. So, moving into, just kind of wanted to briefly, and I apologize for those of you, I see some people here who sat through, roughed it through my annual analysis, my favorite time of year. But I did just kind of want to share with you a little bit of information from that meeting. This is the 2024 data. And we met the end of March, and we looked at data and we compared it to the state, comparable counties, surrounding counties, all those kinds of things, in order to, or an effort to identify trends and patterns. So looking at those kind of numbers and trends and patterns, we then work to create action steps, if you will, that we can put in place to improve the quality of life for the individuals that we support. So this is an overview of the MUIs broken down by appendix, so appendix A, B, and C, and it's also broken down by the categories under those appendixes. Hamilton County makes up about 6% of the total MUIs filed or investigated in the state of Ohio. So it's a, fair number. There were a couple of areas that we identified as part of the analysis that we really want to kind of focus on in 2025. And I wanted to share that with you today because, again, it's I kind of need your buy-in to make this work. So the first area that I want to address is significant injuries, particularly those from falls, right? About half of all of our significant injuries in 2024 were from falls. And in fact, we had 2 deaths as a result of falls. So I am proposing, for those of you who were part of this in 2022, I want to bring back our fall prevention campaign. It was a fun little activity or event that we did. We went to a couple of day programs and just did some education with both staff and individuals on fall risks. And we had fall bingo, and we did some of those kinds of things. And we also were fortunate to be able to reach some folks through when we were doing the COVID clinics to reach some folks through that and get that information out there. So whether coincidence or not, from 2022 to from when we did that late 2022, from 2023 to 2024, we actually saw about a 25% decrease in falls. Again, coincidence, I don't know. But unfortunately, those numbers returned back to what they were in 2023. So we're back to almost exactly where we were before we did the fall prevention campaign. So we're going to try it again. I'm going to get back out there. Hopefully we can maybe even reach some more people this time. We'll be reaching out to see if we can come maybe to your day program, and we can set up a little fun event at, maybe your office, or come to our office, or whatever the case may be. So stay tuned for more information on that. Let's see. The next area, this is a lot of information on a screen, I realize that, but the next area that I want to talk about, or that we have an action step in place for, is medical emergencies, and medical emergencies specifically from choking. So I think I took out one of my slides, but I will tell you that chokings is one of those areas that, again, I think that we can have a huge impact on. In 2024, we had a number of choking incidents. So those that involve either the use of Heimlich maneuver, back blows, things of that nature to clear an airway. We had 5 deaths as a result of choking incidents in 2024. Way too many, in my opinion. Looking at that, wanted, kind of started doing some research, attended a training, a webinar that OACB did on dysphagia, and they presented some information about IDSI, right? So International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative. But what this really is an effort to kind of mainstream the diet standards, if you will, and they provide some really great, just kind of down to earth, easy to follow examples and things of that nature. So this particular slide shows the minced and moist diet, which is kind of equivalent to mechanical soft. So again, I've been in the field a very, 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 very long time. But mechanical soft was always one of those things where it was like, what the heck does that mean, right? I'm thinking mechanical, I got to get out mechanical things, blenders, whatever, and everybody kind of had a little different definition of what that meant, versus looking at kind of the IDSI framework here, where they show you that, using a fork, if it's minced and moist, it has to fit between the prongs and of the fork, and things of that nature. So just real clear examples, things that people can apply in the day-to-day when you're working with folks. So I'm starting to see this language a little bit more when we're looking at, choking incidents and things of that nature. But just kind of wanted to put that on your radar, that it's something that maybe it's worth having a conversation with your physicians or the folks that are doing your dysphagia or your diet texture things to try to maybe incorporate this in. So you might be hearing more from us on that. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is Alert Hamilton County and Smart 911. I had a whole presentation ready for you this morning. I was so excited to go, and then I wanted to make sure that I was presenting the right information. So I reached out to the Hamilton County Communications Center just to make sure that we were, I was reporting the most accurate information. And unfortunately, we kind of identified some glitches, if you will. Regardless, I still wanted to put this out there on your radar because we are, I'm working really closely now with Scott Brown. And Scott has offered, providing we have the time available, but Scott has offered to come to our next meeting in June to actually do a presentation and a demo on Smart 911. We are going to really kind of work through, problem solve some of the issues that we identified. So Smart 911 is an amazing, I think it's a great system. It will allow you to enter into a profile, if you will. The glitch is that the profile is tied to a specific phone number, not a person or not a location. So that's good and bad, right? So if somebody has a landline, great. That would trigger, whatever might be going on at that location. If someone has a cell phone, great, that'll trigger it for that specific person. The problem becomes obviously staff using their personal cell phone to call 911. That's not going to trigger the profile that we need to say, this is where staff is, this is the person they're supporting, this is the this is the response that you need to provide. So that's kind of what we're working on. You can enter multiple phone numbers on one account, but again, the glitch there is that if that phone number is tied to another profile, it's not going to be useful. So for example, I have a personal Smart 911 profile. But if I'm working with Angie and I call from my phone because I need assistance with Angie, it's going to pull up my profile, not Angie's. So that's kind of the glitch there. So we need to work through that. Obviously, best case scenario for this to work would be having a designated landline or a designated phone for a person that's going to travel with them. And I think that for certain situations, we could absolutely make that work, but it's probably not feasible for everyone. So what Scott and I talked about yesterday was they have another. It's comparable to this, and it's completely tied to this, but it is the ability to create a facility profile. So rather than creating it tied to a specific phone number, then that would allow you to, it would be tied to a location. And it's not as detailed as the Smart 911 profile, but it allows you to upload a PDF. So we could take all of the information from that Smart 911 profile and put it on a nice little PDF that would then get uploaded so the dispatcher would have that right there when someone called in. So again, just kind of wanted to give you a brief look at what Smart 911 looks like. It's great. It also allows you, as part of this, allows you to, when you sign up, you have the opportunity to sign up for weather alerts. So, I keep getting all these Hamilton County weather alerts, but it also does things for your specific area. So you can, whatever address you put in there, it's going to give you if there's emergencies in that area. So if there's a chemical spill and they're saying, stay indoors or whatever the case may be, it's going to alert you in that specific area. So those are kind of important, things to have as well. So again, I dropped the link in the chat, but real simple, Smart 911 on the Alert Hamilton County website. It allows you to assign an assistant, if you will, so that assistant can make changes, they can receive updates, reminders to keep the profile up to date, all those kinds of things. Smart 911, your profile is absolutely confidential. It's only available to the dispatchers. It is not available to just anybody. When you go in to create a profile, and you can kind of see my profile here, it gets, I mean, you can get so far in the weeds, and I think it can be absolutely amazing. But you'll see here, my address is the support center. And it actually gives me a pop-up at the top. Would I like to subscribe to receive urgent notifications from Norwood, from the Norwood Police Department? So you can opt into those things or not. But again, phone numbers, you can enter as many phone numbers as you want, emergency contacts. So we could put guardian information in there. We could put, all sorts of things in there for that person. It goes down for preferred providers in terms of listing doctors or things of that nature. You can put vehicles in there. So if you have, a company vehicle or something like that, there's all these different things that you can do. You can upload a picture of the individual. Again, it gets really, really, really detailed. Hair color, eye color, weight, all of these things. Blood type. When you get into medical info, this is the part that I'm like really excited about. I think it could be amazing. It has several categories, and then each category then has kind of it opens up into a list of options. It lets you put in any additional medical or safety concerns. So if we have somebody who fearful of loud noises, or they need a quiet approach, or they have an obsession with the police and guns, and they might try to, or they like to hug the police, just all those kinds of things to make sure that people are safe when they're interacting with the police. It also allows you to upload medical documents if you wanted to. So again, this is just, if you open up a category, gives you all sorts of options. You can identify if somebody is on the autism spectrum, if they have a developmental delay, those types of things. When I was talking to Scott yesterday, he said, that's important, obviously, but we really, we can't expect first responders to know what some of that means. So that's where those notes are probably going to come into play some too, but prone to wandering. I mean, there's just so many different things that we can do here. The other thing that I think is important on here that I kind of was excited about was the option to identify if somebody has an advanced directive or a DNR. A lot of times in hindsight, when we are listening to 911 calls, the dispatcher always asks, does the person have a DNR? And for whatever reason, staff a lot of times are unable to answer that question. It would be there. It would kind of alleviate that, right? So it's going to take the guesswork out of things. I don't know if you've ever had to call 911, but even thinking you were as prepared as you possibly can, it's overwhelming. It's, you want to throw out, kind of spew all this information out there. So again, if the information was there that the dispatcher could follow along on, I think it would make that call much easier for staff or individuals that are calling 911. So I can think of some folks that might need to call 911 for medical emergencies, and having this information in there for them would be just invaluable. So we're going to work together with them to create profiles. Again, just simple, kind of things, just kind of want it very easy to edit your account. You can also check to see if your zip code is covered. I was told yesterday that it covers 48 entities, whatever that means. I will say that I put in 45245, which is Cincinnati, but it's also Clermont County. It is covered. When I was talking to Scott yesterday, again, tied to that specific cell phone. So if an individual has a cell phone number tied to their account, and they call from that number, it actually extends into our surrounding counties and also into Kentucky and Indiana. So Boone County, Kenton County, counties in Indiana. So it travels with them. So that's really, awesome if somebody were to cross the bridge and go into Kentucky, which has happened, when they've eloped. We would be able to kind of, obviously get to them much sooner. So again, the thing that I kind of want to just come back to is that keep in mind that this is tied to specific phone numbers. So if you create, this is it could be a lot of work. So I didn't want people creating these accounts when it's tied to a specific phone number that we can't access. So we are going to work on creating that profile for facilities. And when I first saw this, I was like, oh, that would be great for like day programs and office locations and things like that. Like we could create this profile, this facility profile. When I was talking with Scott Brown yesterday, he actually said that we could do that for individual homes, apartment buildings, things of that nature. So we can really kind of customize it to fit the person. And then, like I said, it allows you to upload that PDF that would say, okay, apartment 4 is Cindy, apartment 6 is Dawn. And the dispatcher would be able to look at that and say, okay, you're responding to apartment 4. This is what you need to know. The other thing that we need to kind of work out before we meet again in June is who is using this and who is trained on using this. So Hamilton County Communications Center, they are fully trained on it. They're using it. They're implementing it. They're getting this information out to folks. City of Cincinnati has a different dispatch system. They have access to the Smart 911. They have access to the Smart 911 profiles for facilities, but Scott wanted to make sure that they were actually trained on it and using it again before we, encourage everyone to kind of roll this out. So tons of information. I know more to come on that. Sorry, this is just wanted to remind everybody about reporting and our new emails and all that kind of good stuff. So again, tons of information, maybe too much information, but wanted to at least plant the seed, take a look at it, maybe play around, create your own profile so you can see what you can put in there. And then consider, again, doing that for specific folks. I can think of some folks who would really benefit from having a Smart 911 profile tied to their phone. So I think that's it. I know I talked a lot really fast. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them out there. I'll answer them if I can.
Jenny, thanks for sharing that. It really is a great resource, and I appreciate that you're digging into it further just to make sure, that it's widespread use. And we really are trying to encourage providers and families too, to know that this is a resource and sign up for it and make sure that it works for them. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
So we've covered all our agenda items. What else? Other news, updates, things that would be helpful for all of us to know? Feel free to unmute.
We already talked about this, Dawn, but I just want to say thank you for the license provider fair. It was really great just seeing some of our COVID era SSAs that we've been talking to for 4 or 5 years that we haven't, been able to just like say hi and rub elbows. So it was really great. I'm excited about July for the all providers, whether you're licensed or not. And yeah, I just think it was a really good experience and a really good use of our day to talk to all the SSAs and get to, just meet people and let them know, even though we barely have any vacancies. So I guess that's kind of, OVRS has more vacancies than us, but it was really nice to just be able to do that. So I appreciate that and hope we'll continue to do it in the future. And I was also happy with the public, like you guys said. I mean, that was really cool. So I just want to say that.
Well, thank you, Eric, so much. And really, it's great to be able to be in the same space together. I think you have a different experience when you're interviewing people in person. And also we do have a lot of new SSAs. So it really is an opportunity to get some face time with all of our good providers. So thanks for saying that.
Can I throw something in there, Dawn?
Sure.
You mentioned the calendar earlier, and I think the link is in the chat. So definitely check out the calendar because there's so much happening. But within April, I did just want to bring up that April the 6th, which is this Sunday, the advocacy group NIA is going to be at Elements Eatery. And so anyone who wants to go there and hang out, meet up with them and have something to eat, they'll be there from 6 to 8 p.m. And April 25th, there is an advocacy group meet and greet. So we had a summit in the fall, and a lot of the feedback was they wanted to meet more of the advocates, learn more about what they're doing, and have more of like a personalized experience. And so we are having this meet and greet as an answer to that. It's April 25th, 10 a.m. to 11:30 at the Kingsley office. We'll have food there for that. And then following that, from 11:30 to 12:30, our director, Eric Metzger, he is going to host a workshop on public speaking. We have so many advocates come out and speak along with us. And so anyone who's interested in learning about that or coming out and having fun and meeting the advocates, just shoot me an email to register, and we'd love to see you there. And like I said, there's so much else coming up, so just keep an eye out on the calendar.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank you.
plugging that, Amber. There really are so many great opportunities to connect. And also find your voice. I think you just recently hosted a pen to paper, writing
Yeah.
legislators about Medicaid cuts. And I do think those stories make a huge impact, and coming directly from folks that actively receive Medicaid. So thanks
That's
for
very
doing
true. We hosted that yesterday. We're going to host more of those, so be on the lookout for those. You also get a little education piece on there for those who may not even know, what is Medicaid? How does, what role does that play in my life? And so just be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Have educated advocates using their voices to advocate. So what else? Any other updates or things to share for the good of all before we close?
Hey, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
I believe that the calendar you have an option to advertise provider events. If you would a provider contact you on the
I can't.
Maria, it's really hard to hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. I saw the calendar did have an option to advertise provider events. How and who would a provider contact to potentially have something on that calendar?
I would email, Angie, is that okay if they email you? Yeah. I would email Angie Lewis, and she'll put her email in the chat. Good question. All right. Well, if there are no other updates, I just want to say it's great to see you all today. And of course, stay in touch, stay through the weather that we're all experiencing together. I hope nobody has any flooding issues. And on the bright side, it's just really great to see everybody. And we'll see you not next month, but the following month. And remember all the opportunities to gather in between now and the next time we meet. All right. Have a great day, everybody.